Wild Bill.
Wild TV on YouTube. Check my shit out. Check him out.
Oh my goodness. So this guy, I might have watched this video like 1,000 times, and there can be a million reasons why this guy only has one eye, but if you look really closely, it's pretty smooth inside there, and my best guess is the reason this guy has a one eye is because he probably had some sort of eye cancer known as retinoblastoma, and what surgeons do to treat that is they'll go in and they'll take out the eye that had the cancer in it, and then they'll also remove the optic nerve, and they'll cut out all the surrounding tissue around the eye so there's no tumor cells that remain after the surgery. In this guy's case, he probably had some in the upper palate of his mouth, so that's why they removed it, and that's what created the hole that he can stick his finger through and kind of like poke through his eyeball, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, they call him Wild Bill, and you know why they call him Wild Bill? Because he sticks his dirty fingers in his skull and like does not think there's anything wrong with that, but that's pretty dangerous. Just think about that. Look how dirty his fingers are, and he's sticking them in there. Just wash your hands, Wild Bill. And on top of that, he has a motorcycle helmet. I gotta visit this guy's YouTube channel that he mentioned. I think it's One Eye TV on YouTube or something.
Meet Lalit, a man with a condition so rare, less than 100 cases have ever been recorded. It's called werewolf syndrome. And
No one, we don't call it werewolf syndrome. It's called hypertrichosis.
Making him one of the most unique humans on Earth. And as I was so close, I had to pay him a visit.
You like doing pan, Lalit?
Yeah.
You do every day?
Yeah, better option.
He's 19 and holds the Guinness World Record for having the world's
so
hairiest face.
like I said, we don't actually call this in medical terms. It's not called werewolf syndrome. I mean, I've been, look how hairy I am. I've been called a werewolf 100 times, but no, we call this hypertrichosis, right? And like I said, it's extremely rare condition, and only 100 documented cases have ever been recorded of this, right? And the way someone gets hypertrichosis is that it's a genetic mutation, and what this mutation does is that it like supercharges genes responsible for growing hair, and you basically grow hair that in places that you wouldn't necessarily grow hair, like you see on this guy's face and nose and all that. There's other conditions that people become hairy, known as hirsutism, and that's due to hormonal changes. You have excess androgens, but in this case, the guy is completely normal other than the excessive hair growth. There's no sort of hormonal deficiencies. There's no like mental deficiencies. He's completely normal other than just the excessive hair growth, right? Some scientists believe that like the gene that causes this excessive hair growth is like a reactivation of some sort of like primitive ancient gene that cavemen used to have, that they needed a lot of hair because it was really, really cold. So that's pretty cool.
Are the conjoined Hensel twins
Abby and
pregnant?
Brittany
Abby
Hensel.
and Brittany Hensel have sparked pregnancy rumors after sharing an unusual TikTok. The pair limited their socials after
got
revealing
married.
that Abby secretly got married in 2020.
That's a hard secret to keep from your sister. But in any case, Abby and Brittany are an example of Siamese or conjoined twins. Now, the frequency of this happening is basically 1 in every 200,000 births, but it only has about like a 20% survival rate at birth, so it's pretty deadly. Now, the way this happens is that usually when you have a set of twins, you have or monozygotic twins, which are like identical. You have one sperm that fertilizes an egg, and that makes an embryo. But in the case of twins, sometimes the embryo separates into 2 separate babies, and that's how you get twins. But in Abby and Brittany's case, or Siamese twins, that embryo that wants to separate sometimes partially separates, right? So like the embryo goes to split into 2 separate babies, but sometimes it doesn't completely, and you get 2 life forms stuck together, and that's how Siamese twins are born. Now, I know they mentioned something about a pregnancy, and I did my research. It's not confirmed whether or not Abby and Brittany had a child, because they like to keep their life private, but is it possible? Absolutely. So if you see here, they share a body, so that'd be one uterus, so they'd share one womb, so it'd be like a natural or like a pretty normal pregnancy. But let's say they were 2 separate beings. Technically, it is still possible, but I don't know if there's any known cases of any Siamese twins who have 2 separate bodies getting pregnant and having kids.
The best reaction I could ever get when somebody sees my tongue is screaming. I actually do like
the way they're filming it is like, it makes me feel like it's fake or something.
Or horror sometimes.
Jeez, it's long.
I like little fun.
She's happy, good. A little. You gotta show me you're playing Jenga with your tongue. I don't expect to see that if you have a long tongue. Like, in any case, yeah, like I said, you don't have to show me playing cup flip with your tongue. You have a long tongue. A long tongue can be caused by a lot of things. In her case, it's just long. But if it was like thick and it's like if you're having problems talking, she can have like that can be caused like by an allergic reaction, or she can have something called macroglossia, which is something wrong with your hormones. But in her case, I think she just has a long tongue. It's just maybe her genetics or anatomical structures. That piece right there that holds your tongue right here, that's called your lingual frenulum. Maybe hers is like looser, maybe hers is cut. Like there can be a million reasons why she has a long tongue, but it doesn't mean there's something wrong with her. I wish I had a long tongue, to be honest.
My favorite Ehlers Danlos syndrome symptoms.
Stretch your skin, yep. Bendy joints, yeah. Clear skin, yeah, stretchy pores. I didn't know about this loose eyelids. Flexible, for sure. Okay. Stretchy, I had no clue about the umbilical cord and I had no clue about the eyelids, but this girl is telling us about her Ehlers Danlos syndrome symptoms. And what Ehlers Danlos syndrome is it's a genetic disease, and it's caused by a defect in the body's collagen. Now, collagen is found in our body's tissue, like the bone and the skin, and the job of collagen is basically to keep the tissue in place, right? They call it a scaffolding system, right? It keeps everything nice and tight. But in someone with Ehlers Danlos syndrome, their collagen is defective, so it can't hold the tissue as tight as it should. So that's why you get the stretchy skin like the girl was showing us, and that's why you get the hypermobile joints, and you're very flexible because the collagen is not holding everything as tight as it should. Now, I love the fact that this girl is so happy and so cheerful and keeping a great spirit, but the truth is, someone who has Ehlers Danlos syndrome, a lot of the times it's a very serious condition, and they have chronic bone pain. They get tired real easily, and like she said, your skin is very, very thin, so you're at risk for tearing your skin, and you bruise pretty easily. So it's definitely really serious, but I'm so happy that she's keeping such a positive spirit. So when I saw this on Facebook, even though it's a picture and not a TikTok video, I just couldn't wait to show you guys. Now, before I tell you what this medical condition is called, let me just tell you like what we're looking at. So this is the stomach of a man. You can see his belly button, and he has two of these like bulging balls just hanging from his stomach. Now, this is known as Lipo Hypertrophy, and this is seen in someone who has diabetes who's taking insulin. Now, someone who takes insulin, the way doctors prescribe it is it comes in a pen or like a needle, and the patient is specifically instructed that when you inject the insulin in your body and administer it, make sure you rotate the spots in your stomach that you put the insulin in, right? The reason we tell patients is that because if you inject insulin in the same two spots over and over again, insulin's a growth hormone and it promotes fat buildup. So if you inject in the same two spots over and over again, you're going to get fat deposits in those two spots. And not only will you get fat, if you keep breaking skin or injecting the needle in the same two spots, you also get scar tissue buildup. So you have the fat and scar tissue building up, and that's what causes those two big balls to just be hanging, right? So in this guy's case, if you have it and you want to get rid of it, just stop injecting the insulin in the same two spots, and eventually those two nodules should get smaller. But if it gets to the point where they're so bad they're not going away, you can always have surgery to get them cut off. But at the same time, guys, just if you're on insulin, guys and girls, just make sure you rotate the insulin pen, because especially if you're a guy, you don't want two extra balls hanging from your body. You know, they're two are annoying as it is. But anyway, guys, make sure you rotate the needle.
Add water to grow.
Wow, that's a long thumb. Okay, so this is pretty simple. So this guy's thumb is really, really long because he has something known as a triphalangeal thumb. And what that means is that he has an extra bone that makes up his thumb. So usually humans, as you can see, we have one and we have two, but in his special case, he has an extra bone between these that makes his thumb really, really long. And I know it looks like he can control how long he makes it, but I think it's just a play on camera. I think he's just holding the camera like this, so like when he extends it, it looks like he's controlling it, but his thumb is that long all the time, which is pretty cool. Extra thumb. That's cute. Oh, she's gonna do a thumbprint now. That is so bad. That's like the James Bond of thumbprints, right? That's badass. It kind of looks like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, right? The thumbprint. So this girl has something known as preaxial polydactyly, and that extra thumb that she has, the way it develops is that when you're in the embryo, so when you're in your mother's stomach and you're kind of like developing into a baby, in the first 4 to 8 weeks of development, when your tissues are kind of like morphing into your different limbs and your fingers, the tissue that forms your thumb sometimes duplicates, and you'll end up with two fingers known as preaxial polydactyly.
In order to save this man's hand, surgeons turned to a unique method, sewing it into his abdomen.
That's genius.
Carlos Mariotti was at work in Brazil when he says a machine he was using pulled his hand in.
He only screamed. I would have screamed. I would have been still be screaming if that happened to me. He only screamed twice.
Too late. The machine mutilated his hand, pulling off the skin, 2 finger tops,
That's crazy. What these doctors did here was absolutely genius. This is known as an abdominal flap. And the reason that the guy had to have his hand sewn into his stomach is that sometimes you can have the injury so gruesome, like a burn, or in this case, like a severe cut, that when you actually look at the injury and you see the exposed flesh, you don't have enough surrounding skin to actually cover the injury. So these doctors took the guy's hand and they sewed it into his abdomen. Now, inside the abdomen, there's plenty of healthy skin cells, there's plenty of healthy fat cells, and you have a continuous blood supply, and that makes up for a great environment to form new skin over the hand. And the way that works is that while the hand is in the stomach for about 2 weeks, you have the skin and fat cells kind of migrating onto the damaged tissue, and it's going to grow a new layer of skin. And after 2 weeks, you can take the hand out, and you're going to have a new nice layer of fresh skin over your hand, or over the injury, I should say. Now, it's important to note that when the hand is in the abdomen, you're not going to grow your fingers back. Whatever he lost, he lost. This is just to grow back skin. And another thing, your hand is not going to like stick to your stomach. Whatever's happening in your gut is going to be separate to whatever healing is going on in the hand. Now, being that I'm in medical school, I've been educated on all the medical conditions we just saw, and hopefully I'll be a good doctor someday. I can't tell you how many people have told me that they want to go to med school, but since they heard about how hard it is and how difficult things can get, they don't think they can make it through med school. So I made this video down here where I clarify all the misconceptions about medical school, and I want you to click on it, because by the end of it, not only will your perception of medical school change, but you will fully believe that you will pass and thrive, and you'll be on your road to becoming a great doctor. So thank you for watching.